Barack Hussein Obama, then and now.
Bon après-midi. And guten Tag. It is a great honor for me to be here in Europe, to be here in Strasbourg.
They were going nuts for him. April 2009, Strasbourg, France. This was a king's welcome for the President of the United States. Hopeful eyes turned toward Barack Obama for the future. It was a new leadership. It was post-Bush. It was going to be the beginning of a series of new and profitable and more placid relationships. All would soon be well. Well, well, well. How far we've fallen. Now, a new study out showing that Obama is slipping in global esteem as China now is seen as the top economic power. Solid majorities reporting in Britain, France, Germany, and Spain say that China, not the United States, is the globe's most potent economy. And can you blame them? That perception has changed markedly in the past 4 years. In Britain, for example, the margin in 2012 is 58-28, the percentage in favor of China, compared with 44-29 for the United States in 2008. You don't think we've fallen? Everybody knows we've fallen. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. I have more on this. I'm going to bring this to you. Raymond Arroyo will be joining us next hour. We have incredible stories for you in the Art and Soul hour of the program. Michelle getting out the vote for Father's Day. We have the fundraisers, the Glitterati showing up in New York City. Sarah Jessica Parker, Anna Wintour, and all the regular people that make up the 99%, right? They're going to be there. And the president and Mitt Romney facing off today, different parts of the state, but two different speeches about America and the American economy. Joining us now, a man whose budget may just be mentioned by the president today, is Congressman Paul Ryan from the great state of Wisconsin that just saw one of the most important recall attempts fail. And he's chairman of the Budget Committee. He joins us now. Congressman Ryan, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Laura. Greetings from Janesville, Wisconsin.
It's great. It's great to talk to you. And before we get into the meaning of the recall and what's happening now with these polls in Wisconsin, fascinating stuff.
I know.
Your reaction to what the president is hoping to do in Ohio. He's going to be speaking shortly, and his speech is about the economy and contrasting his plans. Most of them he claims are already laid out. Congress knows he wants to do more job training. He wants to do more infrastructure spending and so forth. And in contrast that with Mitt Romney, who he will say has ideas that are solidly entrenched in the Bush era of more tax cuts for the wealthy. Your reaction?
Well, I think it's going to be more of the same, which will be President Obama will try and erect what I call a straw man argument. He'll basically say, Mitt Romney and these Republicans, they just want to feed you to the wolves to a dog-eat-dog society. And if you want any security in your life, stick with me. You are a victim of circumstances outside of your control. You're stuck in your station in life. And the government, we're here to help you cope with it. To me, it's a very cynical vision. It's kind of revealing of his press conference off-the-cuff remarks the other day, where he sort of articulated his vision for the economy as a government-centered society with a government-driven economy. And so all these ideas he keeps sending to the Hill are just more borrowing and spending. It's more government-driven economic growth. And what we've learned is if we just try to keep borrowing and taxing and spending our way out of this economic doldrum we're in, we'll just dig the hole deeper. I mean, if that was the secret to economic growth and entrepreneurial development and small business startup success, then Greece would be entering a golden age. Then we would be, growing out of our problems. But what we've learned, not just in this country, but in all countries that have tried this, is all this government regulating, taxing, borrowing, and spending, a government-driven economy just doesn't work. So I think what he's going to try and do is, emphasize this philosophy and try and cast it in as favorable light as he can by basically trying to nullify the notion that there's a viable alternative, by trying to sort of win this debate by default, by saying that Mitt Romney and these Republicans, they don't care about you, they only care about a few people in this country who they want to help them exploit you. I don't think people are going to fall for this anymore.
Yeah, that have car elevators, and they shut down streets with their renovations, and but I'm with the regular people like Anna Wintour. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I mean, the thing is just, well, it's sad, it's predictable. But I asked Bill Kristol a question last hour. I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think it is enough for Mitt Romney to attack Obama's record, hit Obama hard, and offer a general blueprint and maybe saying positive things about your budget here and there, which of course he does regularly, and make comments about the free market that are very positive, business very positive, reducing government positive, but not really have all that many specifics. Bill Kristol is concerned that it can't just be all attack. It has to be substantive so people really know what you, Mitt Romney, also stand for specifically. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously Bill and I very much agree on that front. What you basically described is half of what is needed. Half of what is needed is to point out Obama's failures. President Obama ran as a uniter. He's clearly one of the most divisive political figures we've had in modern history. His plan's not working. But we equally, on the other half of it, have to offer a very bold, specific, clear alternative so that the country gets to choose what kind of America do you want, what kind of people do you want us to be. We get to choose in November. That's what we did here in Wisconsin. That's what Scott Walker did. He ran on these reforms, then implemented these reforms, and then he was reaffirmed with these reforms with a bigger vote margin than he would have got the first time he ran against Tom Barrett. So what we have learned here in Wisconsin, and what I've been trying to do with all these budgets, is be specific, be very clear, show the country how we're taking the founders' timeless principles, reapplying them to the problems of the day, offering specific, bold reforms, so that the country gets to choose. And if they do choose that, then we win an affirming election. Then we win by acclamation. Then we have the moral authority and the obligation to put these reforms in place, get rid of Obamacare, replace it, get rid of all this big government, get rid of this regulatory state that's crushing job creation, and save the country from a debt crisis, get America back on track to being that limited government, economic freedom, opportunity society, instead of the cradle-to-grave welfare state with a debt crisis that President Obama is clearly taking us to. So, yeah, we need to run against this terrible record that the president has and the divisiveness that he's bringing to this electorate. But we also equally have to be bold and specific. And Mitt Romney's been doing that. I mean, I know people say he's not doing that. I believe he needs to bring it to a crescendo so that it's really clear for every voter going to the polls in November. But he's been specific on Medicare reform. He's been specific on how he wants to do with tax reform and Medicaid.
Do you think people think he's been specific? I mean, I talk to folks who aren't really all that tuned into politics a lot. It's just when I go out and speak and travel a lot. And I think people just generally like Obama. I think he's a nice guy, and they think Mitt Romney has a great family. He seems like a nice guy. But I don't get a sense that the voting public is really clear about what Mitt Romney will do with health care reform, what he'll do with the defense budget, which I want to talk to you about in a moment. I don't think people know.
This means emphasis. So those specifics have been laid out, and on health care, he's obviously doing more. He just did one the other day, and I'm told doing more. But that just means emphasis. So he has been very specific on the kinds of budget reforms that are needed to save us from a debt crisis. And that just means emphasis. That means don't.
Okay, well, people don't know those specifics.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
You're saying
don't just put a white paper out there. Actually talk about it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so appear more frequently, and he's going to be on Face the Nation on Sunday. It's the first time he's been on a Sunday show in quite a long time, and he will lay out a vision, I imagine, there. But I just think that's a very positive thing because it's a positive vision. There's no reason to hide this. I mean, they're going to attack him because they're going to say, well, this is the mean old Ryan plan. And I think for all of us who know you, when we think of you, we don't think of you as mean old anything.
No, my first name's Ryan, my second name, my last name's Plan these days. But you know what it is we owe the country. We don't like the direction the president's taking the nation. So therefore, we owe the country an alternative, and we owe the country specifics and details, and that's what we've been doing in the House. Here's how we think we need to go to get the country back on track, to get the opportunity society with the safety net, not the welfare state.
And Paul, one thing that is clearly an issue, and Secretary Panetta raised this on the Hill yesterday. General Dempsey was on. Martin Dempsey was also on the Hill to discuss cuts in defense spending, which are imminent, given the issue of sequestration. People's eyes are glazing over. I just want to play a soundbite from Governor General Martin Dempsey about what the defense cuts will mean to our nation's security. Let's listen.
It is clear that sequestration would risk hollowing out our force and reducing its military options available to the nation. We would go from being unquestionably powerful everywhere to being less visible globally and presenting less of an overmatch to our adversaries.
What is going to happen? What is at stake? And what can we do about it?
Well, I've spoken at great length to General Dempsey about this and to Secretary Panetta. I've had hearings on this. We in the House already passed our legislation replacing those cuts with other cuts in domestic spending. We passed a bill a month ago cutting $318 billion of spending in other areas of government to prevent the sequestration from hitting the Pentagon this January. So the House has already acted. We've already prevented it, and we've replaced those cuts with more cuts in other areas of government that we thought could use it. This bill's sitting over there in the Senate. They're not acting on it. The president is clearly not leading on this issue, and this is going to the pileup of uncertainty that's added to the end of the year, in addition to the tax increases that the president is promising the country, which is putting a chilling effect on job creation. So add this to the list of uncertainty because of the lack of action in the Senate and the lack of leadership from President Obama.
No, at least we're buying helicopters from the Russians, though, so that's a good deal. So their helicopter manufacturers are doing just fine. You ever see that movie Snakes on a Plane?
No, it's not.
No, that was a classic.
I'm taking my kid to Madagascar 3 this weekend. I don't think that was on our list.
I feel sorry for you on that one. The Madagascar is that's a snoozer. But the Snakes on a Plane was about a takeover of a plane. Well, why am I saying that? Nuns on a bus. Oh, okay. I have a sheet in front of me that says nuns on a bus, and I just kept thinking of snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane, nuns on a bus. Well, let Ray Arroyo straighten you out on that one.
Yes, he will. But the sisters are planning to use this bus tour, a lot of them very liberal nuns, like Sister Simone Campbell, uninhabited, and they are going to tour the country to protest federal budget cuts for the poor and working families. Let's listen.
We're also stopping at congressional offices, especially of Congress people who voted for the House budget proposed by Congressman Ryan. And that budget undermines the whole fabric of our society.
So get to mass.
Can't say I'm not used to it. I get picketed weekly, often by nuns here in Wisconsin. It's a fairly common thing we have here in Wisconsin ever since these recalls started. You know who gets hurt the first and the worst if we have a debt crisis? The poor, the elderly. That's what we're preventing with our budget. I wish I would say we're dramatically cutting back the size of government. Government spending still grows under our budget. It just doesn't grow at the feverish, unsustainable pace that the president is proposing. So what we're doing is we're bringing these programs under control so they don't wind up giving us a debt crisis. 40 cents of every dollar spent today by the federal government, Laura, is borrowed money. Half that money is borrowed from other countries. If we have a debt crisis, which we're clearly on track to having, just like what's going on in Europe, the people who get hurt the first and the worst are the poor and the elderly. That's what's going on in Greece. That's what's going on in Spain, Italy, these countries. They're slashing the benefits of the safety net that people rely on in their retirement.
Hey, Congressman, how do you know that these old gals are nuns? I mean, they're not habited, are they?
No, but they claim, so we just take them for their word.
Oh.
So I don't expect. Not worried about that. Usually we get protested by nuns for Afghanistan policy, but also we get protested by nuns for this policy.
What?
So in Wisconsin, we get protested all the time.
Don't they have the flock to tend to? I mean, don't we have the rosaries to deal with? I mean, we're at Paul Ryan's office now. You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show. Congressman Paul Ryan, it's great to talk to you, and Wisconsin is in play. Romney is up. We didn't have a chance to talk about Wisconsin, but we have to move on from Wisconsin. Paul, thank you so much.
You bet, Laura. Have a good one.
All right, we'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show. Nuns on a bus. Don't go away.
Enough is enough! I have had it with
these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
The Laura Ingraham Show.